pop YouTube over to another video. Today is going to be day 2 of me just talking about the trading journey, how you can improve. In this video, I want to really speak on why people struggle to either, succeed on live accounts, why you're growing your accounts, why you're struggling to pass funded accounts, why you can't get a payout, etc. So, honestly, it's mainly only one of two things, if we're being honest. And the first thing I would say is either you just don't have enough data and you're trying to rush the process. You don't have enough market experience and you need to just learn more. That's the first thing, and that's usually when you're within the first, couple months of trading and you have high hopes of getting rich very fast within that first year. A lot of people, including myself, will, fund a live account and jump out the window and buy a bunch of funded accounts. And you don't really have that true experience. You don't fully understand the system that you're trading, and you don't have a really good idea of the markets. You just don't have enough skin in the game. So that's usually the first thing. And if you are within that stage, which is usually, within the first couple months of learning how to trade, my biggest recommendation is really, for one, just zooming out. Understand that it is a very long and rigorous process. It is not going to be fast. Now, you can definitely speed up your process, but it will not be an easy, quick journey. You won't just get a payout, get your first payout, or flip a live account, within the first couple months of you starting to trade. It's going to take some time. You're going to have to learn the market, learn yourself, learn your system, and know the ins and outs of it. So I would say that's the first thing. And then the second thing is really to just get out of, if you don't have enough experience, taking it slow, which kind of goes hand in hand with zooming out, but taking it slow, taking it, one small funded account at a time. If you're trading with Top Step, that'll be one $50K account, which is $50 a month. You start with that one funded account, you trade it like it's live. You just practice, because it still gives you that sense of, money being on the line versus when you're trading with demo, because you had to pay $50 to purchase the account. So it helps with your psychology, because when you're trading on demo, you don't really have a connection to the money. You don't really care if you lose. You can just reset your account all for free. So I would say I'm not too big of I'm a fan of demo when you first start out. But once you have an idea of what you're doing, once you know your system, know your strategy, after say a 1 to 2 months max, get off a demo. Put a small amount of money on the line just to get your brain accustomed to having that, because you don't want to spend too much time on demo, because then it's gonna be like, practicing at basketball and never actually playing in a real game. You're not gonna know what it's like psychologically, what it's like physically, to play in a real game with real defenders or real people, versus when you're just in the gym by yourself. I would say that's one of the best analogies I can think of right now. But yeah, just really say just buy a small funded account, or even, depending on what you're trading, you can fund a live account with, a very small amount of money. A couple $100 if you want to go that route. But obviously the Top Set, $50 a month is the easiest. I know Apex also has cheap accounts. But yeah, trade these accounts like you would demo, like you would, a live account. Take them slowly, especially when you first start out. There's no need to rush. And I would say that's the first thing. And then number 2, the second main reason I feel like that people blow their accounts and people fail to, just succeed in trading is also, you're in your own way. You have to get out your own way. This is for the people that have their system down, know their strategy, know what they're trading, have a decent amount of time in the markets. I would say this is usually anywhere from 8 months and beyond, honestly. Once you've been trading for a decently long time now, you're about to be at a year, the system that you're trading, but you're still failing to succeed. Usually you're in your own way, because 9 times out of 10 it's not your strategy. 90% of the people that, trade and fail know their system, they know their strategy, but they just don't succeed. And that is because they're in their own way. It's either your psychology's bad, you don't follow your rules, you don't have the correct rules in place, you're not journaling enough, you're not journaling properly, that's when you have to start looking at yourself and really doing a lot of self-reflection, because from that point, it's not the strategy. Like a previous issue that I had, which took me a long time to really recognize and fix, was that I would take full-size setups before market open. And what I learned after going over my metrics was that I had like a 77% losing rate when I would take a trade before market open. So it's just digging me in a hole, and I'm losing a whole bunch of money before, my A+ setup may present itself post 9:30, 9:35. And then now I don't have the capital to take it. I don't have the mental capacity to take it because I just lost a bunch of money pre-market. So now what I do is I don't trade pre-market with my full size. If I see the most perfect, the most beautiful setup, I will trade it with a small fraction of what I'm willing to risk. My fault, somebody called me, but yeah, so back to what I was saying. What I did was I understood my win rate was a lot lower. I wasn't winning trades. I was giving back a lot of capital. So now, if I see the most textbook A+ quality setup, I will take a fifth, fourth of what I'm usually willing to risk, depending on my stop loss, micros, minis, and all that. But usually, I will take it with much smaller size. A trade that wouldn't even, barely affect my P&L or whatever the case may be, because I would rather take a small win than a large loss. And I understand that my setups will present themselves in pre-market. Going into market open, we have a lot of volatility in both directions. We have a lot of volatility where you get stop hunted and price goes directly to your draw. Like a lot of the times, my draw and liquidity would be correct, but my stop loss would just get wicked out by the immense volume that market open at 9:30 brings. So now, just for like insurance and caution, I take very, very, very low size if I even do take a trade at all. And yeah, like that's just an example of something that I had to do that took me a while. Just after going back and reading my metrics, journaling for the past year, looking at my data on TradeZella, and yeah, like it breaks down the numbers very well for you. So if you don't journal your trades to any type of platform, I would definitely recommend finding a platform that offers whatever you need. I use TradeZella, I'm not affiliated, but they break down the numbers for you. Like it also shows that my most profitable time is between 9:40 and 10 a.m. So with that in my mind, on trades like that, when I know the market is most likely to play out in my favor, I can add a little bit more size. I can be more risk averse, and I can also mitigate my risk properly depending on the time frame that I'm trading and things like that. So I would really say that's the number 2 thing when it comes to yourself and figuring out what you're trading and why you're in your own way. You have to do a lot of self-reflection. You have to look at your data, look at your rules, reevaluate yourself, reevaluate everything, because that's literally the only other thing. Like it's either you don't know your strategy enough or you're in your own way. You're self-sabotaging yourself somehow. You might have to look at your routine off the charts, what you do off the charts, because that can also affect how you act and how you trade on the charts. And it all plays a part. So I want to say I hit on everything, really just reflecting, getting out your own way, maybe setting more strict rules, being more strict with yourself. Maybe you're too strict. It's all up to you, and it's all a matter of you figuring that out. But yeah, it's one of those 2 things. I'm going to keep this video short and sweet. I'm on my way to church right now, so thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all learned something. I'll catch y'all in the next one. But one more thing too, before I really end off the video, I know I just did the outro, but I just thought of something else right quick. You have to seek knowledge as well. You have to want to learn, because the knowledge isn't just going to fall into your lap. The lessons aren't going to just come to you. You have to seek it. You have to be willing. You have to be able to want to learn. And that's very important when it comes to self-reflection and when it comes to the markets, because, you can win a bunch of trades, lose a bunch of trades, cool. But if you're not really reflecting and looking at the causes and effects of each decision that you made within the market, you're just going to be wasting your time. It's not going to work. You have to really seek the data You have to seek the information. That's even when it comes to, say, for the first point I made, just talking about how you're lacking experience, you might not know your system enough. When it comes to gaining market experience, that can be very broad in a way. And just learning your system more, like that doesn't mean just watching more YouTube videos or whatever the case may be. Maybe you need to back test more. Maybe you just need to wait for more trades to come. Like for me, I would always hear people talk about having market intuition and having, just like that feel, like that sense of like how you know when you know. And I would say for me that came a little after a year of trading, and I never really understood when people would say it. I never really knew, but I was constantly working, constantly backtesting, constantly going over my data, constantly, learning and just seeking that information, seeking that knowledge, and now you have an idea. And for me, I never understood what people meant by that, but now it makes sense. I get what it means. I do have a sense of market intuition. I have a sense of, okay, this fair value I may not hold, or this candle just opened higher. Yeah, we might look bullish in the internal, but externally, I still think we're bullish. I still think we're going to sell off. And sometimes you might not even have a real reasoning behind it, but that's where the intuition comes in at. And you have to trust that, because a lot of the times it is correct. But you have to seek the knowledge, seek the information, be willing to learn. And yeah, that's one more little thing I just thought about. Now I'm really getting off the video. I'm just pulling up, but thank y'all for watching. Catch you on the next one. Like and subscribe, please. I appreciate all the support. So yeah, have a good one.